Hey there, this is Akshay Madan. Welcome back to a new video, and in this video we are going to cover Flutter BLoC state management with APIs. So I'll tell you like how can you implement BLoC state management in Flutter for calling APIs, for making GET request, POST request, put, patch and delete request. Right. So I've already published two more videos on BLoC. One is regarding Flutter BLoC theory, where you will get all the theoretical concepts. What is an event? What is a state? How BLoC works, right? And another one is on making a simple e-commerce component, the cart and favorites component using Flutter BLoC, right? So if you have not watched those two videos, please watch it. And I'll also like to draw your attention to the fact that I'm already out with one paid course on Flutter that is completely in simple Hindi language, right? And where I'm going to publish more than 10 hours of recorded content, and we also take live doubt sessions on Discord, right? So if you have not enrolled, please enroll it, and you will get a lifetime subscription to it, right? And you can see that there we are also learning advanced state management concepts, provider, BLoC, everything is covered in that course also. And that is the good part is that it's in simple Hindi language, because most of you were demanding that I'm not teaching in Hindi. So there I've published one course which is completely in Hindi language. So you can consider it. The link is in the description. Now coming back to the topic of the day, that is how can we implement or how can we call APIs, make API request with BLoC. Right, so for that, first of all, as you know that in pubspec.yaml, I need to add some dependencies. So I'm going to add BLoC and Flutter BLoC. So I'm adding BLoC and Flutter BLoC, right? So Control S, and it will be saved. Now I'm going to use a JSON placeholder website. So it's a complete free website for you where you can actually get free APIs. You don't need to code a server. You don't need to code APIs in Node.js, Express.js, Python, Go or Spring Boot, right? Here you can get all the APIs, get, post, put, patch, delete, and you can use it for free. Obviously, like data will not be manipulated in their own server. It will be like a demo, but we will get free APIs and we can demonstrate the APIs, usage of APIs, right? So I'm going to use this. You can also use it. It's totally free of cost. So the website is jsonplaceholder.typicode.com. I'll put the link in the description, right? So what happens in this website is you can see that there is /post. So I hope that you already know about how APIs work. What is an endpoint? What is a URL, right? So in this, if we hit this /post, if I click on it, you can see that I'm going to get this JSON. So what is JSON? JSON is JavaScript object notation. Now I'm going to get this complete map, complete JSON, and I need to convert this JSON into a Dart model so that I can use that Dart model in my Flutter app. So what is going to happen is I can just write it over here for the better explanation. We are going to make a request. So first step will be make a request, right? After I make a request, I'm going to get some data. So I'm talking about the GET request. Okay, GET request, where I'm not going to send any data to the server. I'm just expecting some data from the server. So I'm going to make a request and I'm going to get some data which is in the format of JSON. So I've got a JSON. Now I need to convert this JSON into a Dart model. So I need to convert this JSON into a Dart model, and then I can update the UI, right? So there are a couple of things that are happening in this procedure. So if you're talking about BLoC, obviously we need to talk about events and states, right? So what will happen? First of all, when my app will open, I want to fire the API. I want to call the API. Okay. So my first event will be call the GET request, or you can say that make a get request. So make a GET request. All right. And as soon as you are going to get some data, so you can say that currently my state is loading, right? This is the loading state. And third step will be to get the data. So that means mapping. I need to convert that JSON into a Dart model. So mapping. So this is my third step. Fourth will be to emit a state. So it will be emit a state. And this emit a state is going to update the UI. So I can say that as I'm going to work with events and states, and I'm going to listen or I'm going to continuously consume my BLoC. So I can say that I can use a BLoC consumer so that I can also get a listener and I also get a builder. So if you have not watched my Flutter theory video, I will recommend you that please watch it, because there I've covered all these concepts. What is an event, state, listener, consumers, builders, providers, everything is covered in that 30-40 minutes video, right? So this is a general algorithm that we need to build today, that we need to code today. So without wasting more time, let's start it. So first of all, this is a simple counter app, the general basic application that we get in Flutter. So I'm going to run main.dart and let's see what we get. So let's take it up, and I'm going to use HTTP package, right? You can use DO package also, it's totally up to you. I'm currently going to use HTTP package, so I'm also going to add HTTP over here, right? So I'm adding HTTP over here so that I can make HTTP request. So in the project folder, what should we do is, first of all, I'm going to have a features folder. So in this features folder, I'm going to have only one feature for now, that is post, right? So I'm going to make a API request to post. I'm not talking about comments, albums, photos, everything. I'm interested in post, right? So in this features, I'm going to add a post folder. So post is my feature you can think of, right? Now in this post, I'm going to have a BLoC folder. So this BLoC folder is also called post BLoC, right? So if I just show you what we have built, inside features, we have post feature. Features is having a BLoC folder. In the post folder, I'm going to have a UI. So now you can see clearly. So post is a feature, and inside the post, I'm having BLoC and UI, right? I'm also going to have a repositories folder. So repositories are, you can think of like intermediate stage between my BLoC and the UI, or you can say that it is going to make request. So the repositories are going to talk to the network, right? So I'll show you. You don't need to worry about like what is happening, what is repository, what is BLoC. I'm going to explain each and everything. We are going to end this complete project in this video, right? So don't worry. So inside post only, I'm going to have a mappers folder. So this mappers is going to take a network model, or it is going to take the JSON, and it is going to return me the Dart model, right? Simple. It's completely simple, right? Not a big deal. Okay, so now we can start coding the home, or the home, that is the first page that my app is going to load. So inside features, I'm going to have a home folder also. So home folder is going to have just a home page. So I'm going to have a home page dot Dart, right? So this is clear. In the main.dart, I'm going to just clear everything, and I like to code everything from scratch. So material.dart, and I'm going to have a stateful widget, not a stateful. First of all, I need to have a void main. I'm going to have a void main, which is going to, or let's make it an async function, and it is going to have run app, and it will be new my app, right? This is simple. In the my app, I'm going to create a stateless widget, and it is going to be called as my app, right? In the return, I'm going to have a material app, debug banner will be false, and I'm going to have a home. Now in this home, I'm going to return home, which is not yet built. So I'm going to go in my homepage.dart. I'm going to create a stateful widget. I'm going to call it as home. So in the main, I'm going to import home, right? So this is clear. I can make it a constant, right? This is clear. This is completely easy, right? This is not a big deal. So now what I can do is I am done with creating a simple home page. So in the home page.dart, what I'm going to do is I'm going to return a scaffold. So over here, I'm going to return a scaffold, and in the scaffold, I'm going to have a app bar, an app bar which is going to say title as text, which is going to have home, or you can say post, right? So post I can say, right? You can see post, no big deal, right? So what I want to do is, first of all, in the UI, in the post UI, I want to create a post page.dart, and I don't want to have home in my folder in my project. I just want to directly go to post page, because as soon as I am going to open the app, I wish to fetch post from the API, right? So UI, this UI folder is going to have post page.dart, and I am going to have a stateful widget which is going to have post page. This is also going to have scaffold, and simple same thing, app bar, and I'm going to have a title over here which is going to have text, post page, right? And now what I can do is I can remove home, and I can just say post page. I don't need home for now. Post page, right? Now what I want to do is, now let's talk about some events and some states. So if I go in post event.dart, now what is going to happen in this? I'm going to have a event class post initial fetch event. That is, initial fetch event means as soon as I'm going to open the app, the first event, the initial event is going to be fetching the post from the API, So initial fetch event, it is going to extends a post event, right? So this is a abstract class, right? And I'm creating my new class, so spelling mistake is there, initial fetch event. Okay, so now this is the event that will be fired up. Now again, I'm suggesting you that if you have not watched my one live lecture on BLoC, that was creating an e-commerce component in BLoC, I would recommend you that you first watch that, because there I'm explaining each and everything in simple terms, like what is an event, why I'm writing this class, everything is covered in that video, right? So, but anyways, no issues. If you have not watched it, you can still continue, but I'll recommend you that you first watch that, right? So this is the first event. So if I just copy it and the post block.dart, now I need to code the logic for this. I'm just removing everything and I'm writing on. So in this on, what is going to happen is my event is, so what happens in BLoC, I hope that you know it, that BLoC is going to take an event. So event goes inside the BLoC and BLoC emits a state. So this is just the importance of BLoC file, nothing else. BLoC is going to take an event and emit a state. That's it. Okay. So my event currently is post initial fetch event. So my BLoC has got this event that is post initial fetch event, and it is going to run some functions, and that function is going to emit a state, right? So BLoC purpose is over. So what is the name of the function? I can just copy this. I can paste it over here and I can make it small p. So this is now my function name. I can click on this yellow bulb and I can say create method. So method will be created. That means an empty function is going to get created, right? So this is an empty function that I need to now fill up with an API call. Let me just remove it. Let me just format it. Yes. So this is a simple function. Now I need to fill this function with an API call, right? So let's go over here, and if I click on /post, this is my API endpoint, right? This is a get endpoint. I can just copy it, or what you can do is you can go back and you can click on see guide, and you can see getting a resource, then creating that post request, updating a resource, patching a resource, deleting. So everything is over here, right? You can just read these guides also. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and over here. So this function is going to be an async function, right? Async function. Now what I can do is I can just go on http flutter and I can see what happens in this http.dart, how to make a get request. Let's say I don't know, right? So over here I can just copy this request and I can come over here and I can just paste it, right? So I can see that I need to import http. So I'm going to come over here and import http/http.dart, and I'm going to import it as http, right? So now my HTTP client is created. You can see where client is created. Now what I need to do is I'm not making a post request, I'm making a get request. So this will be get, and body will not be there in get request. I can remove the body, and my URI is going to be this URI. So now in my Flutter course also I've taken this same example, this same website, and I've coded in provider, and soon I'm going to publish a video there in Hindi in BLoC also, right? So if you are interested in learning provider, BLoC, everything in Hindi, and how to make API requests, everything, like it's a complete 10 hours Flutter course, everything, you can enroll into that course, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just replace this with my URI of JSON placeholder, right? And no comma over here, and I can just wrap this one, put a semicolon, right? So this is my response, right? This is my response. So now what I need to do is I need to just first of all remove this thing and remove these 3 lines also, and I'm going to have a catch block over here. So catch is going to catch an error, and what I need to do is as soon as I get an error, I want to just log this error, log.toString. Okay, so now I've got this response. Now what I need to do with the response is I need to convert. First of all, let's print this response. Let's see what is there in this response. So print response.body, right? Simple. I'm just making a request. Request is going to send me a response, and I want to see like what is the body of that response, what I've got in that response, right? So let's save it, and what I need to do is in the post page.dart, I'm going to have a init state. The init state. Also, I need to first of all create an instance of this BLoC. So I'm going to say final post BLoC is equal to post BLoC, right? So I'm creating a simple instance. Obviously you can create this instance using dependency injection, but I'm not using it for now. and I'm creating a simple class instance. This is a simple OOP concept, right? In the init state, what I need to do is I need to add that initial fetch event. So post initial fetch event, right? So this means the event will go inside the block, and block will see, okay, I need to run this function, and in this function I need to make an API call, and in that API call I need to print the response, whatever that API call is returning me. Simple. So now this is done, and now what I can do is I can just refresh it, and I hope to get the response in my console. Something is there, I need to pause it, stop it, and then run it again, because I added HTTP after running my app. So let's run it. Let's see what we get. Right? Let's hope that there is no error, but if there are any error, obviously we are going to solve it. We are software engineers, our whole life is going to be solving bugs. So let's see what we get. Okay, app is built. There is one format exception. Let's see. I've not got anything. JSON placeholder.ipcode.com/guide. Okay. So if I go in post block, okay, I've printed the wrong URL. So if I just take the URL from here itself, that is /post till here, and I can just replace it. And let's refresh. Format exception, invalid radix 10 number, uri.htps, uri.parse it will be uri.parse, and I can just refresh. Okay, you can see this is a complete JSON that I showed you over there, right? So if I just copy this URL over here and I paste it in the URL box, you can see this is a complete JSON we are getting, right? So here you will see that there are only three. No, there are not three. There are all, you can see ... So that means it has not printed it, but there are all, we have got all the maps of that post, right? Now what I need to do is I need to convert this into a Dart model. So first of all, I'll just close all the files in the lib. I'm going to have features, I'm going to have post. In the post, I'm going to have models. In the models, I'm going to create a post model. Post data UI model, you can say data UI model.dart, right? So this is a data because this is containing data, and it is a UI model, so UI model, so post data UI model, and I'm going to say class post data UI model. And what will be there in this UI model? You can see that one map, just pick one map from here, Control C, and paste it over here. So you can see user ID is there in the format of int. So final int user ID, then final, again there is an int. So this ID is for the post ID. So final int ID. Then we have title. So final string title. And then we have body, so final string body, right? So I'm going to click over here and generate a constructor. So constructor is created. Now I can remove this. Now you can assume that if I'm going to get a list of post data UI model, if I get the list of post data UI model, I can say that I've got this complete JSON. This complete list is a list of small maps, list of JSONs, small JSONs, list of dictionaries, you can say, if you are Python background, right? Now this is my Dart model, right? I need to convert my JSON into a Dart. My JSON is a list of maps. So if I say that I'm going to get a list of Dart models, I'm satisfying the condition, right? So now what I need to do is I can just also create a JSON serialization. So this generate JSON serialization, you can see it is going to create two map from map functions, right? You can also enable this extension, a JSON serialization, and you are going to get this code. Or what you can do is you can go over here, you can just Control A, Control C, and you can also go on QuickType. So that's an online tool, right? QuickType, open QuickType, and just paste the whole JSON over here, and you can see that I'm going to get from JSON to JSON functions from here also. You can just copy it, right? This is simple. Or you can use a VS Code extension. Now I've got a post data UI model. Now I can go in block, post block.dart. Now in the response.body, I can say that I'm getting a list of JSON, list of maps, right? I need to convert one map into a Dart model. So what I can say that I can, in my try or in my client, I can have a list of post data UI model. and it is going to be called post. It is an empty list, right? And what I need to do is, after I'm getting a response, I'm going to run a for loop. So for int I equal to 0, I less than response dot body dot length I plus plus, and for every map, for every response map, I'm going to convert that map into a model, Dart model, and then I'm going to append this post list, right? So I can say that my post data model post is equal to post data model from map post data UI model. Sorry, not like this. Post data UI model dot from map. It is going to be response dot body at I, right? Now what this is saying is string can't be okay, so I need to typecast it as, or what I can do is response dot body response dot data. There is something which actually converts it into a map, or I can say I can just convert it into JSON decode. So I can say that response dot body at I as map as string dynamic. I think it should work. And after this for loop, I can append post dot add my post. This should give me something, but let's see. Or now what I need to do is I need to create a state. So I can say that class post fetching successful state extends a post state, and this state is going to return me final list of post data UI model, post data UI model, post, generate a constructor, right? And now I can emit this state from the block. So I can, after this try, in this try block, I can say emit the state post. Perfect. So this is something that I've got. Now I'm also going to print this posts so that we can see that are we getting this list in the console. So if we are getting that, means there is no error. Let's see. String is not a subtype of map, right? So what we should be doing is, first of all, I need to convert this into a list that is going to be called as result, and this result is going to contain JSON decode. So I'm just converting my JSON into a list of maps. Why list of maps? Because if you will see over here, I'm getting a list of maps, not maps of maps. So list of maps. So JSON decode will be resource or response dot body. Now I can, this is a list, right? Now I've got a list of maps. Now I can say that this will be result dot length, right? Result dot length, and it will be result at I. Result at I, post dot add a post, and I'm going to return my post. And if I just print my post and I just refresh it, yes, now I can get all my posts. You can see instead of post data UI model, now I need to convert, or I just need to render this UI. So what I'll do is I'll go inside my UI post page.dart, and I'm going to have this container. I'm going to wrap this container with a block consumer, right? And this block consumer, this block will be post block, this will be post state, and the block is going to be my post block. Listener is going to have something, we will see it later. The builder is going to have some switch statements, so switch case, and this will be on type runtime of my state. Now I'm going to get multiple states from my block, right? Now on which state I want to build, right? So I want to have two states, so I'm going to go in states file. I'm going to have one more abstract class state, which is going to be for listeners, and one post state is going to be for the builders, right? So post action state extends a post state. It is going to extend a post state because ultimately we can't return any other state from this block other than post state, right? And this is correct, right? I want to listen when my current state is action state. So current is post action state, and I want to build when my current state is not post action state, correct, right? And in this I want to first of all build when I get post fetching successful state. So on post fetching successful state, I'm going to store this state in a variable. So success state is equal to state as post fetching successful state. So this state will be treated as post successful state, and the success state is going to have nothing but my post. So you will say over here, so you can see my post fetching successful is having my post list of post data UI model. Now I need to obviously return a list view.builder. So container return, sorry, not return, it will be child list view.builder. This list view.builder will have item count as my success state.post. Success state, where is the success state? Okay, just cut this and remove this break and return it over here, right? So this success state dot post dot length, and my item builder will have context comma index. It is going to return a container with child column children will have some text will be post at index, post at index dot title. So this is not post, this is success state dot post, success state dot post at index dot title, right? If I just save it, okay, there is one error. Yeah, we have not handled the default state. So default state is going to just return a constant size box, nothing else, right? Save it. You can see titles are there. Now I need to handle the cross axis alignment dot start, right? Cross axis alignment dot start. So this is now I need to add some padding and margin. Padding constant edge insets dot all 16, and margin will be constant edge insets dot all 16, right? And I need to give it some color, so I can give it some color as colors dot gray dot shade 200. See, these are all my posts. Now I can return one more text with the body also, and this can be my body, correct? So these are all the posts that are getting fetched from the internet, from the API. Now if I just refresh, you will see there is slight white screen gap. That's the time when my API is getting loaded. So I need to go in my state, and I also need to create one loading state. So class post fetching loading state. It is going to extend post state because this is a build state, and I need to also have one error state. So if my API fails, what I need to do? I need to show one scaffold message, or I need to show one alert dialog. That is your homework. You need to do it. Error state, right? Or you can also show one 404 page, the page not found page, right? So these are the two states. Now I need to emit this state when my API is getting called. So over here at the top itself, I'm going to emit my loading state, and if some error occurs, then I'm going to emit my error state. So post fetching error state, perfect. Now in the post page, what I'm going to do is in the builder, in the case, I need to add one more case, which is about post loading state, and this loading state is going to just return a center child circular progress indicator, and it can be constant. Save it. Now if you refresh, you will see there was, instead of white screen, there is a circular progress indicator that is coming, but that's for very less time because our API is returning us the response very fastly, right? So that's not a thing to worry about. Now what we have learned is we have created a block which fetches the API result and turns it into the Flutter UI. Now I'll teach you how to create a repository. So repository is a file or the code that actually calls the API, right? So we need to remove this API calls from the block because block should only have the business logic, not the network logic. So this repository is going to have a file called post repo.dart, it is going to be a class post repo, and it is going to have a static function. It can be non-static, then you have to create an instance of the class, but I'm just making it static. I'm calling it as future because it is going to return me future list of post data UI model. Data UI model, fetch post, async function, right? Async function. And now I can bring the logic, the network logic from here to here. I also need to import my HTTP, and in the HTTP I can just paste it over here. I am having a try block. I also need to have a catch block. This catch is going to have some error, and I need to log this error if some error occurs. This is fine. Perfect. Now what we need to do is JSON decode. We can just import and correct. This is correct. And at the end, instead of printing, I need to return my post. And the catch, for now I can just return an empty list, right? So this is all correct. This is all correct, right? And I can just go in the block, and over here I can say that my list of post data UI model, post data UI model, post is equal to await post repository dot fetch post. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This can go away. This catch can also go away for now. Yes, this is all correct now. Now if I just refresh, you can see nothing is going to change. Why? Because we have just put the network logic in the repository. Nothing we have changed. Right. Now what we need to do is we need to, I'm going to create one more API call, and then we can wrap up. The API call will be for posting a post, that means adding a new post, right? So I'm going to create an event. This is going to be called class post add event, right? And extends post event. Rest all the API calls are going to remain same. You can actually consider it as your homework. That will be put request, patch request, delete request, right? Now for this request, I'm going to just hardcode the data, which I'm going to send to the API. In reality, what you have to do is you have to create a form, and in that form you will be writing title, body, and then you will be pushing that data to the API, right? For now, just for sake of simplicity, I'm just going to hardcode that data, right? How to do it? Let me show you. I have created an event. I need to create a function, respective function for that event. This is correct. Create a method. Now in this method, so this is again a network logic. So I'm going to just copy this function and paste it over here, and this is not going to return me this is just going to return me Boolean value, whether the request was successful or not, right? And this is going to be add post, correct? And this is not going to be there. API request, you can check it from here. Just go over here and you can see these are the guides, and creating a resource is having the same API call. Endpoint is going to remain same, method will be post. So what we need to do over here, get will become post, and this will have my body. So let's have body. So body will have, you can see body is going to have title, body, and user ID. So I'm going to have title. So here I'm hard coding the data. Akshit is a Flutter teacher, let's say, right? And in the body, I'm going to have some data. Akshit makes good BLoC videos. So if you agree with this, please drop the like, and please subscribe to this channel. This really motivates me a lot to make more content. And if you want more BLoC videos, do let me know in the comment section that you want more BLoC videos. Otherwise, you can also join my Flutter Hindi course. There I'm teaching provider, BLoC, shared preferences, everything in Hindi, simple Hindi language. So you can also consider that. Link is in the description, right? So now we have user ID. So user ID was an int. So we can add int, 3, or let's say any random number. I'm just hard coding it, right? Now this for loop will go away, result will go away. And if this is successful, so I can say that if my response dot status code. So can somebody tell me what are the status codes for successful? It is obviously greater than equal to 200 and less than 300. and response dot status code is less than 300. I think 300 is also including, I'm not sure, so I'm not including it for now, right? And I can return true. Okay, and if something happens wrong, I can return false. So this is the post request, and else also I can return false. Perfect. So now I need to call this API request from the block, from this thing, and I'm going to say boolean success is equal to await. So I need to bring async also. I need to bring async also. Repository dot add post, correct? And if this is success, I need to do something. If something went wrong, so I get boolean as false, I need to do something. So obviously I need to emit some states. So I can say that I am in states file. I can say that post addition success state extends a post state. Now I want to be an action state, because if I just make it a post state, then my API, then my whole screen is going to rebuild and it will be white screen. So I want to make it an action state. And in this action state, in the listener, I can say that if this state occurs, then I want to emit I want to show a alert dialog that, hey, your post is successful. So for this, you can actually check out my e-commerce block video. There I've coded very deeply these listeners at the states, right? So I'll recommend you that. If post, this is for success state. Now obviously one state will be for an error state. Post addition error state, right? This will come in here, and let's copy it, else it will come over here, error state. We are done. Now how to make this call? I am going over here and I'm going to make a floating action button. Floating action button is going to have, in the on press, it is going to say post BLoC dot add post addition event, post add event, right? And this is also going to have a child with the add icon, icons dot add. Perfect. Now if I just refresh it, and also if I get success, or what I need to do is I also want to print my boolean value, print success, whether it is true or false. If we get true, that means API was successful. Let's refresh. And if I click on plus, okay, there is something wrong. Let's see. It's called without a registered event handler. Okay, it says that I'm calling an event, but my event is not handled. Post add event is not handled. Okay, post add event is actually handled. So this is not a mistake though. Post add event is actually handled. So if I just refresh again, click on plus. Okay, so now we are not getting that error. We are getting another error that type int is not a subtype of string. So this must be in some repository. So we are having only one integer, that is this user ID. User ID is actually an integer, but it is asking me for enter a string. I guess the documentation is outdated now. Let's refresh it and refresh it. If I click on plus, yes, now I get true. That means my API was successful. This means that now what we have learned? We have learned to make a GET request, fetch the post. We have learned to make a post request, sending the data to the server, and we have learned to make a repository file. What is the significance of repository file? Because our block is now much more cleaner. It's not dealing with any network logic, it's only dealing with the business logic. Now what is your homework? Your homework is to first of all like this video, have a comment, add a comment on this video, subscribe to this channel, and then you need to make put request, patch request, and delete request. Push the code on GitHub, add me as reviewer. My GitHub link is in the description, and I will review your code, right? So till next content, keep coding, keep innovating, and thanks a lot.